when she doesn't state the obvious, it's automatically going to be assumed that it's something personal because we know you know the game of basketball too well to ignore the kind of things that she's ignoring.
Right now, the NBA is going through a relative slow period, and there probably won't be much for us to discuss for about another month. But luckily, the WNBA is more popular than ever and is filled with drama to keep us entertained. Sheryl Swoopes, a 3-time WNBA MVP, a Naismith Basketball Hall of Famer, and one of the real legends of the game, is currently headlining women's basketball news, all because she refused to work at a game. Not just any game though, an Indiana Fever game, because for some odd reason, Swoopes hates Caitlin Clark's guts. But why is this, and what caused this to begin with? Before we get to the content, we're 5,000 subscribers away from 1 million subscribers, so just check to see if you're subscribed to help us reach that goal. Now that we get all that out of the way, cue the intro. If you took my Monday Night Football picks, congratulations on 5xing your money. This man used the Caleb Williams free square to turn $20 into $135, but this maniac was able to turn $30 to $1,020. And the good news is Prize Picks is running 2 more weeks of the Caleb Williams free square, and I have some ideas to make us some free money. If you haven't signed up for Prize Picks and you're really good at guessing how well players will perform in games, I highly recommend it. And right now they're hooking up my subscribers fat. When you use my promo code microphone, get a free $50 when you play an entry of $5 or more. I'll leave a link to it in the description down below, and I give away all of my picks for free on my Instagram. I'll have additional picks in my Instagram story at the Flight Mike, and thank you Prize Picks for the sponsor. Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Sheryl Swoopes is one of the greatest players the WNBA has ever seen. During her time in the league, she was arguably the best player in the world due to her scoring ability and stellar on-ball defense. She, alongside Cynthia Cooper, led the Houston Comets to 4 straight WNBA championships in her first 4 seasons, which just so happened to be the first 4 championships in the history of the WNBA. She was literally a world champion 4 times before any other team saw one. Sheryl Swoopes was the WNBA, but now all these new WNBA fans know her for one reason and one reason only, and that's being Caitlin Clark's #1 hater. This is completely out of nowhere too. Swoopes has continued to be part of the game since her retirement, but never has she ever been this negative towards one player, let alone a star player. And it's not even just during Caitlin's pro career. This began long before Caitlin ever stepped foot on a WNBA court.
Caitlin Clark come into the WNBA and do what she's doing right now immediately? Absolutely not. Not gonna happen.
My #1 issue with all these WNBA players consistently hating on Caitlin Clark is that Caitlin Clark has consistently elevated the sport. People weren't watching the WNBA a year ago. WNBA players weren't getting chartered flights. WNBA players weren't really getting sponsorships to this scale either. And of course it comes from jealousy. How could you not be? Sheryl Swoopes was winning MVPs and Defensive Player of the Year awards before Caitlin Clark was even born. I mean, she was legit the first ever player to sign with a WNBA team when the league was founded in 1996. So why is the literal first ever WNBA player hating on the player that's made the WNBA more popular than it's ever been? Well, the first sign of this hate was when we saw Swoopes as a guest on Gilbert Arenas' podcast during Clark's legendary senior season at Iowa. Clark was on the verge of breaking Kelsey Plum's record for the most points in women's college basketball history. And instead of hyping up the player who's bound to elevate the league that she helped create, Swoopes decided to spread lies in an attempt to invalidate Clark's record. I mean, this is actually insane.
This isn't just for Caitlin, but you asked me about Caitlin. If you're going to break a record, to me, if it's legitimate, you have to break that record in the same amount of time that that player set it.
Okay.
Right? So if Kelsey Plum set that record in 4 years, well, Caitlin should have broke that record in 4 years. But because there's a COVID year and then there's another year, you know what I mean? So she's already had an extra year to break that record.
Now, this is an absolutely insane statement to make, not just because what Clark was doing was so historic, but because she was completely wrong. Her point was that Clark should have broken the record in 4 years because that's how long Kelsey Plum played at Washington, which she literally did. Caitlin Clark didn't have an additional year due to COVID or a redshirt year or anything like that. Broke the record in 4 years, just like Kelsey Plum did. And you know what makes this even better? She did it in the exact same amount of games as Plum as well. The best part about all of this is that a year before Swoopes was hating on Clark for breaking a record that wasn't hers, she went and broke a record that was hers. During her historic March Madness run in 2023, Clark would lead Iowa all the way to the national championship game against Angel Reese and LSU. In that game, she'd drop a clean 30 points, and in the process, she'd break the all-time record for points in a single women's NCAA tournament set by none other than Cheryl Swoopes herself, all the way back in 1993. This has to be where the hate stems from, right? I mean, Swoopes is jealous that Caitlin Clark is breaking every record imaginable, and she's even outplaying Swoopes' MVP years as a rookie, so she's doing everything she can to bring her down. She's even been doing this online. Before the season, somebody tweeted that Caitlin Clark might lead the league in assists in her rookie year, and Alyssa Thomas of the Connecticut Sun, one of the best passers in the game, replied and said stop playing with her, and of course Swoopes had to step in and reply with some laugh emojis, agreeing with Thomas in the fact that she thinks Clark would not be this legendary rookie everybody thought she would be. Well, not only does she lead the entire league in assists as a rookie, but she also just recently broke the WNBA record for most assists in a single season by any player, which ironically happened to be set by Alyssa Thomas. On top of that, she also just broke the rookie scoring record in the most Caitlin Clark way imaginable and scored a career high 35 points doing so, which just so happens to be 1 point higher than Cheryl Swoopes' career high. She played 12 seasons, by the way, in a much easier WNBA. Things cannot be going worse for Swoopes. Well, except for the fact that Clark's biggest rival is endorsing her online.
You know, I want to give my flowers to Cheryl Swoopes. I know, like, so much going on social media with everything going on, and people have attacked her and said so much stuff. And I texted her yesterday, and I was like, you know, you that, like, you know, you a legend, like, your resume speak for itself. You ain't got to speak on nothing. And I just seen her get out of character on social media a couple days. And I'm like, you know, you ain't got to pop it like that. But yeah, she's a legend.
Angel Reese going out of her way to give Cheryl Swoopes her flowers after she's been hating on the person whose shadow Angel has been stuck in for 2 years just makes too much sense. All season long, there's been this rookie of the year race that realistically was never that close. And now after Caitlin is playing the best basketball of her career, on top of Angel Reese suffering a season-ending wrist injury, Angel's doing whatever she can to get the upper hand on the person who's outplayed her at every level by endorsing Swoopes. It's honestly embarrassing. I guarantee you that if Swoopes was hating on any other player in the league, that Reese wouldn't have said a word, but because it's Caitlin Clark, Angel had to say something. These two have been consistently going against Caitlin from the beginning. It's honestly a little embarrassing. Even Charles Barkley thinks so. In an interview with Bill Simmons, Chuck had this to say.
These ladies, and I'm a WNBA fan, they cannot have this Caitlin Clark thing up any worse. If they tried. People believe what we say on television. Just because people don't like you or your personality, they can't get on TV and slander you. It's just total bullshit. This girl is incredible. The number of attention, eyeballs she's brought to college and the pros, and for these women to have this petty jealousness, you say to yourself, damn, what is going on here? And the thing I love about her, she never says a word. But these ladies, who I love and respect their game, they couldn't have this thing up any worse. There's been so much negativity, and a lot of it is just petty jealousness.
When you have media personalities who don't even work for the WNBA calling out the level of hate that they're seeing, you know it's a problem. Not everybody agrees with Chuck though, and there are definitely some split opinions on this situation. In the most inside the NBA way possible, Shaq publicly disagreed with Chuck, saying that Clark is great, but not that great yet. And loudmouths like Chuck are talking about hating. It's not hating, you're good, but let's slow it down a notch. Then again, Shaq is notorious for hating on young stars.
Wemby is a great player, but I don't really think you can be dominant when you shoot jumpers a lot.
This is also crazy because it seems like there's a parallel for everything. Swoopes just went back onto Gil's arena and basically said the same exact thing about Caitlyn that Shaq said about Victor Wembanyama.
Her stats are today, what?
20 points, 8.4 assists, 6 rebounds.
That's crazy.
But 5
that's
point,
crazy.
5
Is
point,
that dominant?
5.6
Those are
turnovers,
hell of a
too.
number.
Those are hell
For
of a
a
numbers.
rookie.
But to me, that's not
Period.
dominating.
Yeah, it's on.
You cannot say that Caitlyn Clark hasn't been absolutely dominant since she joined the WNBA. You just can't. Honestly, these clips right here are the perfect example of the problem with the NBA and WNBA legends. Those players who are among the best in the entire sport at the time love hating on the new exciting stars just because they play a different brand of basketball. That's exactly what Sheryl Swoopes' mindset is. Sure, Swoopes will forever have the legacy that she has, and nobody's trying to take that away from her, but it genuinely feels like she's jealous that Clark is dominating the game as much as she is. I mean, in just one season, Caitlyn Clark already made half the amount of three-pointers that Sheryl Swoopes has in her entire career. Like I mentioned before, he played for 12 years, but that's just the difference in the game now. Swoopes hates on Caitlyn because she's playing a level of women's basketball that nobody has ever seen before. Jack hates on Wemby for doing the same thing. They're both among the greatest players of all time in their respective leagues, but deep down, they're just jealous that these shiny brand new superstars are as good and as polarizing as they are. But that's not just it though. All season long, Swoopes has made it very clear she has favoritism towards Angel Reese.
For me, if Rookie of the Year was picked today, I give it to Angel.
Okay.
So at this point, you might be wondering,
Mike, why is this woman hating on Caitlyn specifically?
well, she's constantly defending Reese and saying how good she is, but when it comes to Caitlyn Clark, all of that support just turns into nothing but negativity. In that exact same podcast, Swoopes said this to try to compare situations from early on in both of their rookie seasons.
It was an uproar and outrage when Kennedy Carter hip-checked Caitlyn. Alyssa Thomas clotheslined Angel and took her out. She didn't take her out, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That was worse than what Kennedy did.
Facts.
But where was the uproar?
Make it make sense. A lot of people have gone on to say that this could possibly be a race thing, but I really would hope that it's not that. I mean, I feel like that's such a low-hanging fruit type of argument to make. I personally would opt for it being a jealousy thing because Caitlyn Clark got this huge Nike deal because all of a sudden she's generated all this fan interest. And I would like to think that society isn't that vain, but I understand that argument being made, even though it's not my favorite argument. But for specifically Reese and Clark, I genuinely think Swoopes hates the fact that Clark plays like nobody else. In just 1 year, she's completely changed how the WNBA is viewed. Her existence alone has boosted attendance and viewership numbers higher than they've ever been. And she's already led the team that had the #1 overall pick this season to the playoffs and their first winning record in 8 years. Nobody in the entire WNBA has more star power, more impact, and more of an effect on the game than Caitlyn Clark has. And if you're Sheryl Swoopes and you used to be the face of the WNBA, you hate that that couldn't have been you. She sees Caitlyn Clark breaking all of her records and taking over the game, and all that to her is diminishing her legacy. And honestly, it's ridiculous, and it's a terrible look for the legends of the game. Icons like Lisa Leslie and Maya Moore, Caitlyn's idol, have publicly backed Clark. And when somebody on the level of Sheryl Swoopes is showing this much negativity towards the face of the league that she used to dominate, it tends to taint everything she's done, just a little bit. A'ja Wilson is the surefire MVP this season, but the fact that Caitlyn Clark has made it a conversation means that at the very minimum, Sheryl Swoopes needs to give her flowers. Let me know in the comment section down below, what do you guys think about all this? Aside from that, I'm your boy Mike, and I'm dropping our mic until our next upload.